Officially welcome, everyone, to this evening session. Nice to see you again, Sue and John, after a few days.
Yeah, it's been ages.
Yeah, they had a concert.
Yeah, well, we did actually listen in yesterday on YouTube.
Did you? Okay, well, that's good. What, live? On the live stream? Or,
Yeah.
oh, really? Okay. You just not feel like joining the live session?
No, I was doing the ironing.
Yeah, are you doing the ironing? Okay.
we had a string of things to catch up on.
Right. Okay. Okay. Oh, well, that's good. It was a good session, actually. It was a very powerful session.
Yeah, we got the bit when I think you were doing the lesson, then you were starting you were doing the lesson of the day, and then you went on to the text, actually.
Yeah, and then we got
Sally was there for part of it then.
It was the afternoon one then, not the evening. Okay. Yeah.
Sally
We continued on in the evening. It was quite a marathon, actually. So it was about 6 hours.
Yeah.
Which is like a workshop. It's a 6-hour. But anyway, it's all good. All good.
I was pretty tired today.
Yeah.
So because I was awake at 5:30 after that. So
right. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a little.
Try not to fade tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's a bit shorter. It's 10 paragraphs.
Oh.
Only 10. Yeah. So actually, to start with, before sharing my screen, let's do a little. Sally shared a little process that I want to share with. Maybe you're familiar with it, actually, Sue and John. So it's just to kind of prepare for the session and sort of clear the way, release any resistance. So I'll just do 2-3 minutes just to kind of clear the space. So I'll put you on mute. Just close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in. Breathing into the lower stomach, into the chest. Noticing the air flowing into the nostrils, chest and the stomach rise. Maximal inhale breath. Just hold the breath briefly. And just scan your mind. So notice any kind of resistance that's there to today's lesson. It's about the light of true awareness, and only God's will or love's awareness is true. And today's text reading is on the judgment of the Holy Spirit. So just notice if there's any resistance. Ask if there's any resistance. And if you feel like there is, it's going to say, I release any blocks, any resistance to this message and to whatever's going to be received tonight. Open myself up to the Holy Spirit, the remembrance of oneness, to come into my mind and use these words to heal me. And this is what I choose. This is what I want. So exhale. Have a sense of just letting go of any of that resistance. With the breath, if it helps you, imagine blowing it out like a black smoke. Releasing it. And just finding a place of stillness, peace. And actually, we may as well just go into do the meditation. So just taking another nice deep breath in. So breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And clench the sphincter muscle. Raise the energy up to your heart center. You can put one hand in your heart to connect with your heart space, and then draw it up into the crown of your head. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. And Again, look at your mind, any thoughts, any emotions going on there, particularly anything that feels negative or limiting or contracted or constricting, and remind yourself that I will there be light, or I will there be true awareness. You're asking for true awareness to come into your mind. Say to yourself, I will use the power of my will, my true awareness today. It is not my will to grope about in limited awareness, fearful of shadows and afraid of things unseen and unreal. So whatever is darkening your mind, your awareness, it's just a shadow that you can let go of. Say, true awareness shall be my guide today. I will follow it where it leads me, and I will look only on what it shows me. This day I will experience the peace of true perception. So I exhale, just letting it all go, surrendering it into the nothingness that it already is. And just finding some peace and stillness at the bottom of the exhale. You rest in this true awareness, in the blue sky beyond the clouds of thoughts and emotions. Again, observe your mind. Breathe in to the lower stomach. Imagine light flowing into your stomach, into your heart center. Beautiful golden or white light. You can visualize, if that works for you, maybe just a feeling of lightness flowing in. Imagine it flowing into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind. Every fiber of your being is in the light. Any remaining darkness, so any kind of limited thoughts, attack thought, grievance, irritation, frustration, observe it. Breathe into it. Remind yourself, this cannot hide the light I will to see. It cannot hide the true awareness I will to see. You stand with me in true awareness, and then name the person involved. And in my true awareness, this will look different. Again, breathe in the light. Feel like the entire body, mind is infused in and with the light. And rest in this light awareness. And there's no darkness that's possible. So you just release the darkness, exhale. Imagine you blowing it out like dark clouds, being blown away by the breeze of your breath. The clouds cannot obscure the light in your mind, so feel that light of your source, of your true awareness shining through your mind. It's opening your mind, cleaning your mind of all these dark thoughts. Say one more time, I will there be light. Take another deep breath in. Blowing up the stomach like a light-filled balloon, clenching the sphincter muscle. Imagine a column of golden or white light shooting up the spine into your heart center, drawing the energy up the spine and into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart, just feel into your heart. Connect with the energy there. Smile. It's a Very lovely, warm, comforting energy. And then draw it up into the crown of your head. And just pausing at the top of the inhale. And you smile. Again, scan your mind. Notice any thoughts, any emotions going on. Whatever's going on there, remind yourself there is no will but God's. There is no awareness but love's. Our translated language. Say to yourself, I'm safe today because there is no will but God's or love's. There's no awareness but perfect love's. I can become afraid only when I believe there is another will or awareness. I try to attack only when I'm afraid. Only when I try to attack can I believe that my eternal safety is threatened. So just breathe the light into any of these thoughts, fear, attack, and recognize that all of this has not occurred. I'm safe because there is no awareness but perfect love's. Accept that deeply in your heart. Breathe it into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body. Every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in the light. There is no awareness but perfect love's awareness. So anything that's seemingly not that awareness, that's not love, say, let me perceive this in accordance with the will of God or the awareness of perfect love. It is God's will or perfect love's awareness that you are His son or its extension, and then name the person and mine as well. So you're united with this person in your extension of love, and this is part of perfect love's awareness for me, however I may see it. And just exhale, blowing it all away with the breeze of your breath, and the nothingness that it really is. From the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest in this deep peace. Peace of your true awareness, the light. Say to yourself, how will there be light? I'm in this true awareness. This is the awareness of love. There is no will or awareness but perfect love's. And you just rest for a few minutes in this deep peace and silence that come from perfect love. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still, and surrender into perfect love. Just watch your breath for the next couple of minutes, breathing in and out through your nose. Focusing all your attention on the breath, letting it bring you completely into the present moment. And there's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, and be still. sink inward to the light. It helps you can imagine that you immersed in light, encompassed in light, enveloped in light. The light is you, you are the light. Will there be light? And so it is. You are the light of pure formless awareness. Just arising in your mind right now, and you just surrender to that light. It's just a surrender into it. Open your mind to the light. Let it stream through, just shining away all darkness, all obstacles. If you notice any of those remaining, you can use either of today's ideas or any of the specific applications. You might say, will there be light? I want to see with my true awareness. In my true awareness, this will look different. This cannot hide the true awareness I will to see. This is part of perfect love's awareness for me, however I may see it. Let me perceive this in accordance with the awareness of perfect love. And then just let it go. Drop it with your breath and sink inwards to the peace of perfect love that awaits you for the next couple of minutes of deep silence. So just gently coming back to an awareness of the body and the breath and the senses in the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale, scan your mind again. Notice any thoughts, any emotions going on. If there's anything that's out of accord with love, that doesn't feel good, remind yourself that there is no will but God's, or there is no awareness but love's. And then you just release these. The breeze of your breath, you let it go. Notice how the air flows out on the count of 2. Chest and the stomach suck back in. As the energy subside back down into the lower stomach and the groin. Just resting there for a few moments. Notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair or the sofa. Feet touching the ground. Notice what you're touching with your hands, feeling on your skin. As you breathe in, notice there's a subtle smell in your nose, maybe a taste in your mouth. And notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. Nothing else to go, nothing else to do. You're just very present in the moment, and you're going to carry this very aware, present state into the session. So it is said, so it is done. And so on the count of 3, you open your eyes. Just take a minute to look around, noticing the various objects in the room. The wall, the chairs, whatever comes into your vision, let it just be, just sit there. You notice that your underlying awareness is really the same. Doesn't matter what you're looking at. It's underlying peaceful presence, this awareness. Your own true awareness, the light this lesson refers to. So just anchor that in. Just connect with that. And you're going to ask that awareness to guide you through this reading and discussion of the text for today. So that brings us to the end of the meditation. Shall we have a look at the text then? All right. So today's text reading is, let's pull it up. It's called The Judgment of the Holy Spirit. We're on to a new chapter, and this chapter is called The Holy Spirit's Curriculum. So that's the title of the whole chapter, and the section is called The Judgment of the Holy Spirit. And we have 10 paragraphs, so it's not too bad. It's an intermediate one. Sue or John, you haven't been for a while. Either of you, and you kick it off and read the first paragraph, just normal, and then we'll go into translating it in the alternative and unpacking it at the same time.
I've been told not to make error real. And the way to do this is very simple. If you want to believe in error, you would have to make it real because it is not true. But truth is real in its own right. And so to believe in truth, you do not have to do anything. Understand that you do not respond to anything directly, but to your interpretation of it. Your interpretation thus becomes the justification for the response. That is why analyzing the motives of others is hazardous to you. If you decide that someone is really trying to attack you or desert you or enslave you, you will respond as if he had actually done so, having made his error real to you. To interpret error is to give it power, and having done this, you will overlook truth.
Okay.
Actually, as I read that, it reminds me of what's going on for me right now with, I've got an appointment with the urologist tomorrow, and
Okay.
I've got various ego stories going on. And I'm very aware of, reading into the situation and misinterpreting what's going on.
Yeah, your interpretation becomes a justification for the response.
Yeah. So you have been told not to make error real, and the way to do this is very simple. If you want to believe in error, you would have to make it real because it is not true. So he's saying here that we have to kind of believe. I mean, things happen, things pop up, and it's only because we kind of hook onto them and make them real that it becomes an issue. Otherwise, they just come and go.
Yeah, we make it real in our perception. We interpret it, and then give it a reality that it doesn't have, and that's the way the mind keeps recreating error.
Yeah. But truth is real in its own right, and to believe in truth, you do not have to do anything. So he's saying here that, truth is just is, and you don't have to do anything, just go with it and as it comes.
Yeah.
Understand that you do not respond to anything directly, but to your interpretation of it. So he's saying that it's when we interpret something that we respond to it. Otherwise, we're just in the experience of it. Your interpretation thus becomes a justification for the response. So how we interpret the situation, we justify it in our own minds.
Well, this is how the ego works, isn't it? The belief in separation interprets everything.
Yeah.
From its own perspective. It says, okay, well, that's really happened. That's really an attack, or whatever it judges it as. It's really happened, and so now I'm justified in my response, which might be fear or attack or anger, or whatever responses it chooses, because this has really happened.
So what he's doing here is explaining that that's why analyzing the motives of others is hazardous, because how can we know what the motives of others are? And by so doing, all we do is get ourselves wrapped up in stories.
Well, even if they're behaving egoically, if you analyze those motives and you go, okay, well, the person must be thinking this is why they're doing this, it takes you into that thought system of the ego and making it real.
Yeah.
Is what I just want to point out. So it's a better approach just to see it as all error, and don't, if you see it all as an error, as a mistake, and not really real, then you won't dwell on it. You won't respond to it.
Which is which it then goes on to say, if we decide that someone's trying to attack us in our heads, then we will respond as if he has actually done so, because we've made his error. Well, in our minds, we think that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
So interpret error is to give it power. And having done this, you will overlook truth. So is the final sentence here really is the kind of the crux of it. If we interpret, read into things, analyze, and put a story around them, then we give it power, and therefore we miss the truth.
Yeah. This is why the ego's characteristic approach of analyzing things, trying to break them down and understand them, isn't really going to work, because it makes the error real.
Yeah.
Which is probably why you had to go at the psychoanalysis process, if you recall. It was a section I recall you didn't agree with. But what he's saying is, if you make the error real, then there's no way out of it. You've made it real, and then having judged it as real, you now try and somehow deal with that problem. And the only true healing approach is to recognize that it's not real as soon as possible. Don't go into endless analysis of the error, which is what psychoanalysts tend to do. Instead of somebody saying, well, it's just an error and it's never really happened. That kind of just denies the power of the error entirely. So, do you want to give a little summary of
that? Yeah, I think it's saying that if we interpret something as being, when we interpret something and put a story onto it, then we give it power and attach ourselves to it, and that's where we get ensnared.
Because it makes it real, and once the ego's got the idea that it's real, then you respond accordingly. Now you justify the response, and that response is not going to be from pure formless awareness. It's going to be from the belief in separation, various whatever form of separation. It's all part. Then you're in the error too. You haven't really healed the error. You're just making the error real. So that actually didn't need any. I'll just change that to British. That actually didn't need any translation, did it?
No.
It was all. There wasn't anything I could see. Okay, so happy with number one.
Yep.
Moving on to number two. Sue, you want to read that?
The analysis of ego motivation is very complicated, very obscuring, and never without your own ego involvement. The whole process represents a clear-cut attempt to demonstrate your own ability to understand what you perceive. Yeah. This is shown by the fact that you react to your interpretations as if they were correct. You may then control your reactions behaviorally, but not emotionally. This would obviously be a split or an attack on the integrity of your mind, pitting one level within it against another.
Okay, so go do a bit of translation and unpack it as we go. So
the analysis of the motivation of the belief in separation is very complicated.
No.
Very obscuring, and never without the involvement of your own belief in separation.
Should we keep involvement or just that's superfluous? What do you think? Involvement, or just keep it in your own belief in separation?
I think we need involvement.
You think so? Okay.
I think we need to say never without the involvement of your own belief in separation.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
The never without the involvement of your own belief.
Never without your own involvement of your own belief, right? Never without.
Yeah.
Involvement of your own belief in separation. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. Thank you for that good translation.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I'm trying to understand what you
translate the words. But I was like,
yeah, I can translate the words, but not the meaning.
yeah. Analysis of the belief. It's just a very complicated thought system.
It's very complicated, very obscure, and never without the involvement of your own belief in separation. So when you're trying to analyze what your ego's motivation is, it always is very complicated, and your own belief in separation is behind whatever you're thinking, whatever you're analyzing. It's coming from your own belief in separation.
Yeah, so it's the ego analyzing itself, which he does say at some point. It's quite happy to do that endlessly, because of course, what does it do? It makes it real. So I think this is why he doesn't like psychoanalysis particularly, because it's like endless analysis of the error from the perspective of the belief in separation, spinning around in the error and not actually just cutting through the Gordian knot and saying, you know what, it's all an error, it's all an illusion, and no amount of analysis is going to make it real. We need to drop the whole thing. Let it all go.
The whole process represents a clear-cut attempt to demonstrate your own ability to understand what you perceive.
Yeah, does that make sense?
The process of analyzing what's going on is it's an attempt by the ego to show that we're in control and we're understanding what's going on.
Yeah. And not being willing, like yesterday's lesson, yesterday's text reading was all about, you have to acknowledge that you have a perceptual problem that you don't understand in order to accept this. If you think you understand and you're using your own belief in separation to try and understand, whatever situation presents itself, then you're trying to maintain the ego. So now I've got this handled. Now I can explain this through my ego's belief in separation, and then you exclude the awareness of oneness, which is the Holy Spirit trying to come in and say, no, actually you don't understand anything, because you think, first of all, you think you're something you're not. You believe you're separate, and you're not a separate identity. And now you believe, based on that you're a body and you're living in a world with all these people and things and circumstances and events happening, and none of it's true. None of it's really happening. So of course you're going to be confused. How can you possibly understand anything if you're believing in these false beliefs that underlie your entire perception of the world?
Yeah.
So hence, we have a perceptual problem, and we need to be willing to see that and say, okay, I'm actually clueless. I don't really understand, in order to accept the correction of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
You see, Iona, how it leads from yesterday's reading quite nicely. Kind of builds on these themes.
This is shown by the fact that you react to your interpretations as if they were correct. Okay, so he's building on the same thing. You may then control your reactions behaviorally, but not emotionally. So we react in ways with our behavior, with what we do or say, rather than you may then control your reactions behaviorally, not emotionally. I don't really know what it means.
Okay, that's a good admission. Let's see if we can get some clarity on it. As if they were correct. You may then control your reactions behaviorally, but not emotionally. Okay. Well, so how might that work? You might say, okay, well, I'll try and I'm feeling angry, but I'll try and control that, and I'll pretend that I'm okay. So we suppress the anger, for instance, and you pretend everything's okay. We've all probably tried that at some point, but it doesn't really work, does it?
Or maybe you kind of smile. You smile and look as though you're okay, but really you've got a lot going on inside.
Well, that's what I mean, yeah. So you're seething inside, and you're like, "Hi, hello," and actually you like to really stab the person in the back, but you present the sweet smile.
I see, but emotionally, you're still feeling
emotionally
angry.
you're seething, yeah.
Yeah.
So this would obviously be a split-to-one attack on the integrity of your mind, pitting one level within it against another.
Yeah.
So these different levels of the mind, which of course is the ego's idea, the split in the mind, and then the levels that results are its part of its thought system.
Yeah.
So now you split your behavior out from your thoughts and your emotions. So you're not recognizing then the integral nature of this of how it works. So if we go back to where we have a look, integral model. So you got the four quadrants. So this is the behavioral over here, individual exterior, and intentional is individual interior. So what he's saying is you splitting your mind. So you've got the behavioral level going on there, and that's now out of accord with the intentional level. It's actually going on in your thoughts and your emotions. And obviously that's not integrity. If you have that dissonance between behavior and thought and emotion, behavior and intention, if they're not in alignment, then you're out of integrity and you feel split. You don't feel whole. We all know that feeling.
Yeah.
Pretending to do one thing, but actually underneath it, I want to do something else. It creates a lot of internal conflict within you, and you're not going to get integrous behavior as a result. So you might try and fake it for a bit, smile sweetly, but sooner or later that underlying energy that's sitting there that you haven't really let go of is going to express itself. You can only fake it for so long. If you're really feeling angry, you're not going to be able to help yourself. You'll attack at some point. So you haven't really the trying to paper it over with sort of sweet behavior or whatever behavior and not really deal with the issue is not dealing with it. It's actually just denying the issue and suppressing it, which is kind of what he's saying here. Does that make a bit more sense now?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
So you see that it's a split-to-one attack on the integrity of your mind because you've now got two things going on. Behavior is not really of the body. You still must have some kind of thought behind every behavior. So the mind is still directing it. Just the mind now operating in the body system. So that's one level of mind, and then you've got the another level of mind in this deeper thought and emotion, the emotional level. And he's saying these two levels are then not in accord. How you're behaving practically, what's the sort of practical operating system, it's saying, okay, do this, don't do this in the world, is now pitted against the emotional level on a deeper level, and you will feel that cognitive dissonance, I think they call it in psychology. It's a cognitive dissonance. There's a friction between these two parts of your mind, and of course you'll never find peace that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the dreaded question. At least you can laugh about it. Can you give us a summary? And try and do it in. Here's the tip. I mean, I think Iona's getting just do it in your own words. Like, okay, so what is the essence of this paragraph? And that might only be one sentence or a few words, but it's like to just summarize it for yourself. So you got the essence of it, kind of download it. That's the idea.
So when we're analysing what's going on, we're doing it from our ego in separation. And when we're doing that, we're trying to show that we're in control of what we're perceiving in the world. What we perceive is happening. And if we're not careful and we if we see the error,
Struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll read the text and just have a little read of it to get some clarity. So you're doing quite well. Yeah, it's just a clarification of that middle point you made. It's really our own attempt to understand what we perceive. That's the problem. We try and understand the world we see and we perceive through our existing thought system, the belief in separation, and that's just going to confirm the belief in separation. So we react to our interpretations as if they were correct, but it's all false. So none of it's correct. You're totally wrong. That's what he's saying. Then you may try and control your reactions behaviorally. Okay, so your interpretation is this has really happened. I'm feeling upset. I'm feeling angry. Okay, I'll try and control my reactions behavior. I'm not going to be overtly nasty to the person, let's say, if it's a person involved. But emotionally, I'm still seething because my interpretation leads me to believe that this has really happened. And so the anger is justified. So now I've split my mind. So I've got one level of it trying to control behavior and put on a good face for the world, and the other that's a seething, raging maniac that wants to murder, basically, and that splits my mind. I got one level pitted against another. Okay, I helped you out there. You did half of it. So. Well done. So number 3.
There is but one interpretation of motivation that makes any sense, and because it is the Holy Spirit's judgment, it requires no effort at all on your part. Every loving thought is true. Everything else is an appeal for healing and help, regardless of the form it takes. Can anyone be justified in responding with anger to a brother's plea for help? No response can be appropriate except the willingness to give it to him, for this and only this is what he's asking for. Offer him anything else, and you're assuming the right to attack his reality by interpreting it as you see fit. Perhaps the danger of this to your own mind is not yet fully apparent, but if you believe that an appeal for help is something else, you will react to something hang on, if you believe that an appeal for help is something else, you will react to something else. Right. Your response will therefore be inappropriate to reality as it is, but not to your perception of it. Okay, there is but one interpretation of motivation that makes any sense. And because it is the remembrance of oneness judgment,
I think we'll go for because oneness is a bit. Remember, oneness is judgment.
remembrance of God's judgment, it requires no effort at all on your part. Every loving thought is true. Everything else is an appeal for healing and help, regardless of the form it takes. Can anyone...
Just stop there. You're happy with the first few? Makes sense. Just unpack it as we go.
Yes. Just remember, there's one way that makes any sense at all, and it doesn't require any effort from me. And that is that every loving thought is true, and remembrance of love has taken care of all that.
Everything else is an appeal for healing and help, regardless of the form it takes.
Yeah. So
it's a cry for love.
Yeah.
And it's just to remember that, because it doesn't seem to be. People can be very vicious and nasty, apparently, and attacking and seemingly hurtful, but it's really a cry for love.
So everything else is an appeal for healing and help, regardless of the form it takes. So no matter what seems to present, it's still a cry for love, and that's the reality. So he asks, can anyone be justified in responding with anger to a companion's plea for help? Yeah, so knowing this, that any appeal for help is a cry for love, how can I respond in anger when I know this? No response can be appropriate except the willingness to give it to him. For this and only this is what he is asking for. So there's nothing else but to respond to the cry for love with love. Offer him anything else, and you're assuming the right to attack his reality by interpreting it as you see. So I could put on a filter and say, well, you've really got a big problem. And then I make his error real, and then we're both in the nightmare and we don't get it. So it's next sentence, perhaps the danger of this to your own mind is not fully apparent. Well, obviously not, because I'm seeing his split mind, which shows my split mind. So if you believe that an appeal for help is something else, you will react to something else. So if I see that appeal for help, if I see the appeal for help as somebody just being bloody difficult, I will react accordingly. Like, that's a really unpleasant person, you are a really unpleasant person, yeah. So your response will therefore be inappropriate to reality as it is. So reality is the state of love, but not to my perception of it, which apparently in my perception is wholly justified.
Wow, because the person's done this thing, and you've interpreted it as real, and as a threat, attacking, whatever, and as a result of that interpretation, you cannot see that this is just a cry for love. You must see that this is actually making separation true and real, and the person's really done it, and they've really tried to hurt you, and they're guilty for it. And it's a slippery slope, you know. I mean, once you go there, you make error real, well, then the ego's whole thought system is real. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, it is.
And he's saying, you know, you need to be aware of the danger to your own mind. Maybe we should change mind to awareness. What do you think? Mind awareness?
Your own awareness is not, yeah, the danger to your own awareness is not yet fully apparent. That works.
React. Response will therefore be inappropriate to reality as it is, but not to your perception of it. So the true reality of the situation is one thing, but your perception of it is going to be contrary to that, and that's going to cause you and the other person all kinds of grief.
Yeah.
But if you simply say, well, you know, none of it's really real, and actually this person, it's a cry for love. They're actually in fear. They're lost in the nightmare, and they're doing this because that's what the nightmares of the ego is telling them to do. That's what they believe in. But it's actually an appeal for help. They're asking for help to free them from their nightmare. It doesn't always seem like it, especially if someone is, you know, vicious and attacking. But you know, it is so. Even the interesting thing about that movie Risen with the Romans and also the Jews is none of them were happy, were they?
No.
It's not happy people. So actually, you know, they attacking Jesus, crucifying him, whatever. But really, it's their own appeal for help.
Yeah.
And Jesus understood that. So that's why, you know, he says to Clavius when he comes in to that, you know, that upper room where he appears to his disciples, he says, "Come in, Clavius, welcome. There are no enemies here."
Yeah.
Which completely, literally disarms him. He just drops his sword. He's like, "Whoa!" I'm just like, this is a mind blowing. First of all, the guy shouldn't be alive, and I'm seeing him alive. And now he's welcoming me like I've killed him. I was supposedly the Romans did this to Jesus. So they did this horrendous thing. He's seen, presumably, you know, Jesus saw Clavius because he was there, and yet he's saying welcome. There are no enemies here. It totally blew his mind. He just couldn't. That's why he like staggered. He just slumps against the wall. He's like, whoa. It's like, what do I make of this? Because it's a total inversion of his egoic thought system of judgment and fear and attack and hatred and death. It's like, okay, this I can't believe it, and yet I'm seeing it. So yeah, in the same way, we don't have quite such a visual demonstration, but our job is to just say, no, I'm undoing this thought system. It doesn't matter if someone's attacking me, and almost certainly they're not going to be doing it on the same level they attack Jesus physically and crucifying. Someone's seemingly attacking me, but it's still a cry for love, whatever it is that they're doing. And you know, I must respond appropriately, and you know, let go of my own misinterpretation of it as, oh, this has really happened. This is an attack. And this is threatening me, and you know, I need to now defend myself, because that's of course the egoic response. This way is just reinterpreting the error, saying, okay, well, you know, it's a cry for love, and if I respond appropriately and I give love, then that heals the error. If I respond in anger and fear with the belief in separation, then the error is compounded. My error feeds into the other person's error, and we get stuck in the error and not in the solution. And you see that playing out in personal relationships. You know, if there's no forgiveness, then and in the global relationships. So you think of conflicts like in Israel, conflicts like Northern Ireland. I mean, just endless, over and over, the same old shit. And people not able to say, okay, we need to just let this go. We just keep replaying the same program of, although that's really happened, they've really hurt me, and therefore defense or attack is appropriate from me, which of course then keeps the conflict going, because the other people then go, oh, well, they've now attacked us, and that's real, and we judge that as real, and so now we must defend and attack in response, and you get caught in a cycle of defense and attack forever, and there's no way out within the ego's thought system. The only way out is this kind of radical forgiveness, to say, I have to let go of my interpretation of it as real, and that's where the rubber meets the road of this. It's like, yeah, can I actually go, okay, this isn't really real, it's not really happening, and and it's just a cry for love. It's this person's inappropriate way of asking for love, because they don't know any better. They're just caught up in the ego's nightmare. And then it changes your perception of it, doesn't it? If you do this, it really does. You can't see it the same way. There's naturally a softening. You can't then judge them and condemn them in return. You actually go, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. The person is confused, and if they're attacking, then certainly they're in fear. So the Romans, in that story of risen, there was a lot of fear there. Although we're in control seemingly, there's a fear that we're going to be displaced. There's going to be an uprising. There's fear of the emperor coming and censuring them and potentially losing their positions of power, status, and a lot of fear going on. And so then fearful people behave viciously. So like, okay, well, crucifixion is justified because we must maintain order at all costs. So it's justified to put someone to death in this heinous way because we must maintain order at all costs. But it's just a false belief system that causes them to do that. So Jesus, recognizing this, doesn't condemn them. He's just going, they don't understand. They're just fearful. And therefore they attack, and they don't know what they're doing. Which, he's saying here, if you think you know what you're doing based on the ego's belief system, then you will behave inappropriately. It's inevitable. You must start with the reinterpretation of the situation. You must change your perception of it. Okay, do you want to give a little summary of that, number 3?
Despite what shows up, remember that your companion's insane behavior is just a cry for love, and respond accordingly.
Yeah, it's a good summary. Everything is just an appeal. It's either love or it's an appeal for love, appeal for healing and help. Yeah. And the only thing that we should do as a miracle worker is to offer the help. However that looks, whatever form that can be. If someone's physically attacking you, that doesn't mean you necessarily just allow that to happen. You take appropriate response, but because it's actually not particularly helpful then to let them do that. So you might stop them, but there's no condemnation. That's really the key. You just, okay, well, it's just this person's frightened, they're scared.
Yeah.
And so that's why they're behaving this way. So then a natural kind of compassion comes in, an understanding. Yeah. And without getting sucked into the analysis of ego motivation, you simply go, okay, it's not ultimately true. The person's confused. They're behaving inappropriately because of that, but it's just a cry for love. And so the only appropriate response is love. Okay, so happy with number 3? It's a very powerful. Everything else is an appeal for healing and help, regardless of the form it takes. It's worth remembering. Everything else is only love. Every loving thought is true. Everything else is an appeal for healing and help, regardless of the form it takes. So will you give the healing and the help, or will you refuse it? And in the process, refuse it to yourself, because that's how it goes. If you don't try and help and heal someone else, then you actually refuse it to yourself, and you keep both of you in hell. The helpless, innovative little life of the ego. Okay, so number 4, cycling back to John.
There is nothing to prevent you from recognizing all calls for help as exactly what they are, except your own imagined need to attack. It is only this that makes you willing to engage in endless battles with reality, in which you deny the reality of the need for healing by making it unreal. You would not do this except for your own unwillingness to accept reality as it is, and which you therefore withhold from yourself.
Okay. Doesn't need any translation.
No.
Not really. Pretty straightforward. Just I'm gonna change that from American to UK. We can delete that. So yeah, any thoughts on that? You want to give a little summary?
Yeah, I think what it's saying here is that there's nothing to stop us not engaging at all in ego defensiveness. We can let go and just let go and just not let our egoic thoughts take over the situation. Not engage in the battles.
Your own imagined need to attack. Only this that makes you willing to engage in endless battles with reality. And deny the reality of the need for healing by making it unreal.
And it's only our resistance to doing so that gets in the way.
Unwillingness to accept reality as it is, which you therefore withhold from yourself. So it's our own unwillingness to accept true reality. Maybe we could. I think we should put some capitals here. What do you think? Reality of the need for healing by making it unreal. Endless battles with reality. You deny the reality of the need for healing. You do unwilling to accept reality as it is. You therefore withhold from yourself.
I think it'd be useful to have a capital where you've got the marker there. That reality.
Reality. Well, what he's really referring to is the real world there, which he doesn't capitalize because it's still within the domain of perception and separation. But it's it's what's going to be. What do you think, Aina? Capital, not capital. Reality as it is.
Could you move your cursor because it's sitting over the rest of the sentence? Thanks.
Yeah.
Unwillingness to accept reality as it is.
You therefore withhold from yourself. Capital there?
I think so.
Well, I understand why he's got reality here, because you're battling with your perceived reality.
Yeah. So the last sentence is the real reality.
You deny the reality of the need for healing by making it unreal. Except your willingness to accept reality as it is, which you therefore withhold from yourself. So, yeah, I think he's actually referring to true reality. The reason why we do this, we battle, is because we deny the true reality of love. We don't want to accept that, and so we prefer the conflict of the ego's thought system. You therefore withhold from yourself. Okay, so that probably does need Let's just go. So, what did I do? Didn't mean to do that. So reality, okay. And this, and that, I think that should say stay small.
Yeah.
Imagine need to attack, and then we changed recognize. Recognizing. Okay. So okay. So happy with number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Moving swiftly on to number 5.
It is surely good advice to tell you not to judge what you do not understand. No one with a personal investment is a reliable witness, for truth to him has become what he wants it to be. If you are unwilling to perceive an appeal for help as what it is because you are unwilling to give help and to receive it. To fail to recognize a call for help is to refuse help. Would you maintain that you do not need it? Yet this is what you are maintaining when you refuse to recognize a brother's appeal, for only by answering his appeal can you be helped. Deny him your help and you will not recognize God's answer to you. The Holy Spirit does not need your help in interpreting motivation, but you do need his.
Okay. Unpack that and do a translation as we go.
It is surely good advice to tell you not to judge what you do not understand. Well, that seems fairly obvious.
Fairly obvious, and yet overlooked by the ego, of course.
No one with a personal investment is a reliable witness, for truth to him has become what he wants it to be. So we witness, we see, we think we see what we want to see.
But we're unreliable because this personal investment makes us attached. It's a bit like saying to someone, okay, well, you've got money invested into something, a company, and now you're asked to be an objective kind of witness in a trial involving that company. Well, you're not going to be objective, are you? You're not going to be a reliable witness because you're biased. Because you want truth to be what you want it to be. You want it to be, what serves your interests, what you perceive as your best interests, rather than just being purely objective. So the personal investment is the little self that's invested in its understanding of the world, which is not a reliable witness. Truth to him has become what he wants it to be. So this is how the ego works. It wants truth to be a certain way, and then we go, well, so be it then. We'll make it that. If I believe it, then it's true. And so we make up truth, even though it's not ultimately true. So this is the fundamental teaching of the Course is, you cannot make up truth. Truth is true, whether you believe it or not. There's not multiple truths. It's true irrespective of your belief. If you align yourself with truth, then you'll find peace and happiness and joy. But if you deny it, then you're going to suffer. Okay, I'm going to continue.
If you are unwilling to perceive an appeal for help as what it is because you are unwilling to give help and to receive it. So if you want to keep judging your brother or believing you're being attacked, it's because you don't want to give love. You don't want to share love and giving it, that's how you receive it.
Hmm. To refuse help yourself. So fail to recognize a call for help is to refuse the help that could be given to you. Or would you maintain that you do not need it?
Yet this is what you are maintaining when you refuse to recognize a brother's appeal. For only by answering his appeal can you be helped.
Mm.
No.
So it's only by seeing somebody else as innocent that you see the innocence in yourself. It's only
Well,
Mm.
to cry for love. So you give love to someone when they're appealing for love, and then you're giving love to yourself.
Yeah.
You're being helped through this love that's now coming into your mind, flowing into your life. Only by answering his appeal can you be helped. So this is enlightened self-interest. He's saying, look, you can only be helped by the Holy Spirit if you're willing to let go of your judgment and answer all appeals for help by your brother with love, irrespective of what it is they're doing. At the extreme of which is forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And that's the kind of the hardcore. Yeah, in whatever situation you can still do this. That was his master teaching.
Do we want to change brother into companion?
Yeah. I'm trying to recognize.
There's a recognize in number 4 as well.
Okay.
Deny him your help, and you will not recognize God's answer to you. Deny him your help, and you will not recognize perfect love's answer to you. The awareness of oneness does not need your help in interpreting motivation, but you do need its.
More remembrance of love, because we've got perfect loves going on there. What do you think? Or should we stick to one?
No, I think it's good to put love there because that's what we put. Yeah.
And also that gives people, okay, so sometimes we call it remembrance of oneness, sometimes we call it remembrance of love. It's all the same, just different pointers to the same awareness.
You've got it, yeah.
Okay, does not need your help in interpreting, but you do need his. You do need its. Okay.
Can we say, but you do need its help?
Yeah. We can say whatever we want. It's a translation.
Would like to say.
However, we want to sort of stick to somewhat to the program of what he's saying. But the whole idea of this translation is it's more helpful than the original. That it's going to give you more clarity, insight, guidance, and so on. It's the only reason we're translating. So if you think another word or two is necessary, then by all means.
Is it even a bit smoother to say, but you do need help from it?
Well, say it that way.
You need its help.
I think its help is better, yeah. It's more flowing.
Don't end a sentence with it or it's.
You tell him, see.
Yeah. Well, do what we want, really. It's our interpretation of it.
Well, I don't want to end a sentence in it.
Yeah. It was your sentence to read, so we'll do it. Yeah. Well, we'll give override to whoever actually read the sentence.
Yeah.
How we translate it, shall we? That's the way to resolve our authority problem. Sorry, that's a little Course in Miracles in joke. Okay, so can you give us a little summary of that?
So if we basically when we help when we answer a call for help from a brother, a companion, we're actually helping ourselves, because by giving love we are receiving that love and feeling that love.
Oh, well summarized. And if we deny it, then we deny ourselves that. And just asking us to recognize that that's the case, because we don't. If you're in the ego's thought system, you want to believe somehow this is going to work. Holding the grievance and the grudge and attacking the person is somehow going to work. And of course, it's not going to work.
No.
It's a nightmare. But it's amazing how persuasive it is. It's, you've really got to look at it and go, yeah, okay, I see the temptation, but not give into it. And just, that's why we practice, keep reminding yourself of these principles. Say, well, it's so simple. Why can't we just get it already? And, and live it. We need to practice, because you need to be reminded often. Otherwise you forget. Very easy to forget if you don't do this something on a daily basis. Very easy for the ego to come back in and start telling you that grievances are justified and you need to judge this is keeping you safe, and so on and so on. Misinterpretation of reality. Okay, so happy with number 5?
Yeah.
Moving swiftly on.
Only appreciation is an appropriate response to your brother. Gratitude is due him for both his loving thoughts and his appeals for help, for both are capable of bringing love into your awareness, if you perceive them truly. And all your sense of strain comes from your attempts not to do just this. How simple then is God's plan for salvation? There is but one response to reality, for reality evokes no conflict at all. There is but one teacher of reality who understands what it is. He does not change his mind about reality, because reality does not change. Although your interpretations of reality are meaningless in your divided state, his remain consistently true. He gives them to you because they are for you. Do not attempt to help a brother in your way, for you cannot help yourself. But hear his call for the help of God, and you will recognize your own need for the Father. So, only appreciation is an appropriate response to your companion. Gratitude is due him for both his loving thoughts and his appeals for help, for both are capable of bringing love into your awareness, if you perceive them truly.
Okay.
So even if he acts insanely, apparently, it benefits me to see him as pure love, so that I can also see myself as pure love.
So even the opposite of love, someone's showing you the ego, his appeal for help can help you to find this, bring love into your awareness, because you simply say, this isn't true. You do the forgiveness, and it reaffirms your true awareness by saying, okay, well, it's showing me, by seeing the opposite so clearly, you can very clearly make a choice and say, no, I don't want that. That's not what I choose. That's not what I want. So I reaffirm my commitment to love. So the opposite can bring love into our awareness, and actually represents an opportunity to do that. That's the forgiveness opportunity we talk about. So we should be grateful because we're getting the opportunity for deepening into that presence of love through this, particular situation.
We're reminded that it's just another opportunity to let go and to be glad of that.
Because the other person, remember, the mechanism of this is the other person is your projection. So you're seeing the projection of your own belief in separation out in the world. Someone's attacking you, let's say. You perceive that they're attacking you. You're perceiving your own belief in separation, the fear, the thought of you're going to be punished because you've been guilty, the fear that now manifests in the form of that person's behavior as an apparent attack. So if you believe all of that's real, then of course you confirm that the ego's, or the belief in separation is true and real. But the opportunity that presents for you is to look at it and say, okay, this is the projection of my own belief in separation, my own belief in attack. And that's happening through this person, seemingly external means, but it's a belief which must be in my mind for it to be experienced. And if I'm being triggered by it and I'm reacting to it, then for sure, it's still in my belief. When we have emotional charge, then it's showing you this is still very much a belief. And if it's upsetting your peace, then this is still actually my own belief in separation. So now this gives me the opportunity to let go of that belief. So no, I'm not going to believe in this anymore. So fear, attack, guilt, and the whole thought system are not true. They are not real. They are just an error based on a false belief in separation. And this person and the situation does not make them true. They are still false. And then this is that correction in your mind, which is the miracle, has now restored your mind to the awareness of love, oneness, pure formless awareness. So it's the reinterpretation of the ego's dream by the Holy Spirit or awareness of oneness. So whatever's showing up, it's the perfect opportunity now to reinterpret it, to reinterpret the dream and the correction that involves. So you should be grateful, because without those opportunities, how do you correct the underlying belief in separation? Well, you don't. It remains in your subconscious. That's why your brother's appeals for help should also be welcome, because it's a great letting go opportunity. And if you take it, then this is how you unwind your mind, and you take yourself back to the belief in oneness, systematically, progressively through these life experiences. If you refuse, then guess what? You remain entrenched in the belief in separation. There's no healing, and the nightmare continues until you're willing to change your mind. So remember that the mechanism of projection, which is the ego's fundamental defense mechanism, is also its Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Mechanism through which you can free yourself by reinterpreting the projections. And the ego has no answer to that reinterpretation if you persist with it. All it can do is try and get you to forget that that's possible. Try and get you to convince you that no, the grievance is justified, this has really happened. And so it focuses on the error rather than on the reinterpretation of error, because that's all it can do. So this is why if you have any kind of situation in your life where there's a grievance, you'll notice it's really hard to let it go. I don't know if you found it, but that's just a universal experience, my own experience as well. because it's where the rubber meets the road of the ego's reality. You see, if you in that situation really say, okay, this isn't real, and I'm really willing to let it go, drop the thoughts, drop the emotions, find peace no matter what. It's the undoing of the entire thought system. It's the undoing of your belief in separation. It's the undoing of the helpless, innovated little self that you've identified yourself with. So there's a lot at stake for the ego in these situations. That's why it's difficult, because it's gonna try and get you to hold on for dear life to its interpretation of a situation. Guilt, sin, fear, attack don't help the other person, because that reinforces itself. And when you let go of that and you reinterpret it, it's the beginning of the end for it.
Well, it reminds me very much of the principles of stand-up comedy, where you never get involved in an attack. Whatever anybody says, you never engage with it. In fact, you take it and you move with it.
Yeah. Well,
with it.
You know what was brilliant? If you watch that YouTube clip of the famous Will Smith slap on Chris Rock, did you watch it?
Yeah.
Didn't you think Chris Rock handled that so amazingly?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Because he just went, "Oh well, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me," and he made a joke of it.
Yeah.
And he made light of it, and people kind of laughed. And maybe that's just because he's trained in stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
He was able to react like that, because it's like, whoa, the guy just hit me in the face, like blatant attack on live camera in front of an audience of who knows how many millions, and I just go, hey, well, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me, and I have a laugh about it.
That really kind of gets the principle of that stand-up comedy.
Yeah, and he could obviously, I was like, wow, the guys, like, that was like some serious mind training there in practice, that he didn't react and get angry. He just kind of made light of it. And Will Smith looked like a bit of an arsehole, really, in the face of that. And Chris Rock came out looking, actually much better. But obviously, like you mentioned it now, so he's a trained comedian, isn't he, Chris Rock?
Yeah.
So then that training helped him. Yeah, interesting.
But the good stand-up comedians, they'll never take offense at anything. They'll just
kind of roll with it and go, okay, well, let's make a joke out of it.
Yeah.
And make it into a it was very interesting, that little clip, because it was like these two thought systems playing out against each other. There's Will Smith, like, okay, anger, attack, I'm going to actually physically attack you. I've taken offense. Joke's been made, but I've chosen to perceive it in a certain way. I've chosen to take offense, and that's now going to justify my attack. So there's the ego's thought system being played out. And then there's like okay, well, you slapped me, but I'm not going to retaliate or anything, and I'll make light of it. I'll have a joke about it. And not take it seriously. So you got those two thought systems juxtaposed there in that little scenario. It's worth watching again if you haven't watched it. Only a minute or two. Okay, so where are we? We're kind of getting lost in companion. So we've read.
And all your sense of strain.
Yeah, that's where we are. Okay.
Comes from your
attempt not to do just this.
And to not do just this is bringing love into my awareness. I am straining to keep
my perception, my misperceptions in place, my false belief system in place.
It's tough work. How simple then is perfect love's plan for awakening? There is but one response to reality, for reality evokes no conflict at all.
Do you want to make that a capital?
Yes.
It's
but
think the
one
second
teacher
one
of
needs
reality.
second one needs a capital, but not the first one, because response to, there is but one response to reality.
Well, he's really saying there's only one reality. So it's the same. For reality is reality.
One reality.
Reality evokes no conflict at all.
That's what going to be summing up.
So actually, the truth of the matter is reality, timeless, eternal, pure formless awareness. This is the reality he's pointing to here with the word, isn't it? Reality evokes no conflict at all. There's no conflict in perfect love, in pure formless awareness. And there's but one teacher of this reality.
Who understands what it is? Who understands what reality is? Yeah.
Yeah, change who to which.
So which understands what it is. It does not change its mind about reality, because reality does not change.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely referring here to timeless, eternal reality, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I think that definitely deserves a cap. He does not change.
Awareness.
So let's get the its and the he's. It does not change. Its mind, its awareness does not change its awareness. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I like that, because awareness is more like speaking to the actual state. So actually there's no real separation between awareness and mind. They're the same thing. Because the mind doesn't exist without, the state of mind, the awareness that it's in. But it's a more direct point, I think, to that, awareness in our experience. Does not change its awareness about reality. It's mind about, okay, so maybe then we need a bit of change there. It's awareness about reality. It's awareness of reality, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Of is better.
Yeah, awareness of reality, because mind about makes sense, but awareness of reality, because reality does not change.
Although your interpretations of reality are meaningless in your divided state, its awareness, remains consistently true.
Yeah, maybe some. This teaches other remembrance of onenesses, remembrance of loves.
Remembrance of love.
Yeah, maybe it needs the remembrance of love's interpretations.
It gives them to you because they are for you. Because they are for you.
Yeah.
Do not attempt to help a companion in your way, for you cannot help yourself.
Gotta laugh.
Yeah, really. But here, his call for the awareness of perfect love.
Yeah, I think I'll keep help, but make that the help of.
Perfect love, and you will recognize your own need for the source, for
Your own need for maybe.
oh.
How about that?
So that can be one and the same. Yes.
You reckon your own need, perfect love.
Father, perfect love, and
Yeah, I just think for the source, it's more resonant if we've got,
right.
because we've got, but here is call for the help of perfect love, and you'll recognize your own need for the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Love.
Thank you. Okay, shall I
You want
read?
to read it from the top? Let's make sure it all makes sense.
Only appreciation is an appropriate response to your companion. Gratitude is due him for both his loving thoughts and his appeals for help, for both are capable of bringing love into your awareness, if you perceive them truly. And all your sense of strain comes from your attempts not to do just this. How simple, then, is perfect love's plan for awakening. There is but one response to reality, for reality evokes no conflict at all. There is but one teacher of reality which understands what it is. It does not change its awareness of reality because reality does not change. Although your interpretations of reality are meaningless in your divided state, the remembrance of love's interpretations remain consistently true. It gives them to you because they are for you. Do not attempt to help a companion in your way, on your way, in your way.
In your way, yeah.
Because you cannot help yourself, but hear his call for the help of perfect love, and you will recognize your own need for perfect love.
Okay. So we'll give a little summary of that.
One teacher, one reality, one response.
Yeah.
Which, and this appreciation of our companions as one with ourselves, and each supposed error of judgment, an opportunity to see ourselves.
Opportunity to choose again. So if they've made an error, that doesn't mean you make the error true. And you go, I condone it. You simply say the error is not, is not true and not real. It's representative of the thought system.
Yeah.
I don't choose. And, I see it as a cry for love. The person just doesn't know any better. And so, anything other than a forgiving, loving response is not justified. And I can actually free myself from the conflict that is entailed if I battle with reality, and I try and make the untrue real. That's because that's really what's going on in my mind, and so it's such a relief when you say, well, it's just not true. I can't believe in this, not because I'm so saintly I need to forgive. It's just because it's not true. That's that simple. When the penny drops, you're like, none of it's true. So therefore, letting it go makes, there's the only sense, and it makes only sense in this world. And that's what he's trying to bring us to that point where, yeah, it's just not true. You get it. And you apply that without exception to every situation. It's not true. So therefore, I let it go. And I see that, okay, the reinterpretation from the idea that it's not true is that it's a call for love. So this person's cry for love, they don't know what else to do. So you then reinterpret the ego's behavior as a cry for love.
I've just got the Beatles song "All You Need Is Love" in my head, and try to remember some of the lyrics, which are it's just so simple. It's such a simple tune. Everybody know it.
Let's have a look.
Simple. There's nothing you can say that can't be sung. There's nothing you can.
All you need is love. Song by Beatles. There we go.
Yeah.
All you need is love, love. Lyrics. Here the lyrics are. Lyric find. That's useful.
There's nothing that you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy.
Nothing you can make that can't be made. No one you can save that can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy.
Oh my God, it's all here.
Ah, interesting, eh? Love, love, love. There's nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. Very interesting. Yeah?
No, that isn't true. Nothing that
I'm
isn't
just going to move locations quickly. So I'm just going to put myself on mute.
Well, we'll have a sing song then.
Yeah. I think they composed this song in the few days before they performed live to that world audience,
Uh-huh.
and it was the first time something had been broadcast worldwide.
Ah.
And I think 2 weeks before, or 10 days before the event, somebody said to John Lennon, said, "Well, what are you going to sing?" He said, "I don't know yet. We haven't composed it yet."
Oh. Oh, wow. So he was being just that open channel, wasn't he? And listening.
Mm.
Don't know if you've seen any of the Peter Jackson 7-hour movie on the Beatles. I've watched about 2.5 hours of it, and it's really fascinating the way that they work together and flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we went through a really good presentation on. I can't remember his name, but he wrote that book 1, 2, 3, 4 about them, and he showed. He just had a whole evening of clips of them at different times, and he kind of gave the backstory to it. It was a very enjoyable evening. Yeah.
It wasn't Hunter Davis.
No.
It was Craig somebody.
Yeah, Craig Smith even.
Uh-huh.
He writes for the
Craig Brown.
Craig Brown. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He writes for Private Eye or something, I think.
Yes. I'm never sure if that's a takeoff of Craig Brown or if it is Craig Brown. Was that recently then?
A few months ago, in the autumn.
Yeah.
But he explained various clips that I was familiar with, but didn't really know the full story behind them. And one thing that did really kind of stay with me was he kind of emphasized that whilst they were 4 very unique individuals, they were surrounded by a whole bunch of creative people
Mm-hmm.
years, and that they just drew to them.
Yeah. Very extraordinary epoch in history.
Mm. You're muted, Jono.
There we go. Yeah, I was saying that they had their own forgiveness opportunities, forgiveness lessons as well. So when they broke up. I think there was, there was a lot of grievances, and John Lennon was interviewed. There was a movie about him afterwards. When he was doing his solo stuff. When he was interviewed, and I think he called Paul McCartney a cunt. It's like that cunt. So they had their own forgiveness lessons as well through it all. That's how it goes. No one's perfect, but they certainly tapped into something quite extraordinary. And to download, a song like that in a few days, and just, it's actually really simple. Love is all you need. Love is all you need. Love is all you It's actually not much to it. There's a few lyrics here, but so maybe to close out the session, we'll listen to the song. How about that?
Nice.
Yeah. And I'll just have to stop recording because otherwise I'll be copyrighted out on YouTube. So we'll just do it at the end. All right. So where were we?
1967 world transmission of it. Its debut. Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
Is that what it was? 1967. Okay. Movie Magical Mystery Tour. Okay. Right. So it was almost when the world started waking up to love, didn't it? It was like the 60s was like just this, expanding into this consciousness that had been of this love that had been denied for so long. An explosion of it, and it really did change the world. I think the world fundamentally changed because of that. And we're post 60 years on, we're experiencing the benefits. I mean, you kind of lived through that, John. So very interesting to me. I mean, during that time, was it? Did you feel like, wow, something's really, something really profound?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, it was a particularly exciting time. It was followed quickly, of course, by the riots in France and revolutions. But
well, that's
there was
often what happens.
that moment. There was that moment. Yeah.
I think maybe going through a similar shift, transformation happening.
Yeah.
Right now, so we're living through another epic time.
Particularly load shedding, do you know about it?
No, I don't.
12 to 2:30.
Oh, really?
Tomorrow 8 to 10:30.
Okay, all right. Thanks, man. Apparently we have load shedding coming back. It's just good. It means no power. Power goes off for 2 hours. So. Anyway, we'll finish before then. All right, where were we? Let's go back to our thing. So we're at number 6. Do you want to give a little summary of that, Anna?
I thought I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. So really very simple, just saying, there's only one response, one reality, one response to reality. Don't get involved in the ego's illusions. So number 7, John?
Yeah, your interpretations of your brother's needs are your interpretation of yours. By giving help, you are asking for it. And if you perceive but one need in yourself, you will be healed. For you will recognize God's answer as you want it to be. And if you want it in truth, it will be truly yours. Every appeal you answer in the name of Christ brings the remembrance of your Father closer to your awareness. For the sake of your need, then, hear every call for help as what it is, so God can answer you. So then we go to
Alternatively,
your interpretations of your companion's needs are your interpretation of yours. By giving help, you are asking for it. And if you perceive but one need in yourself, you will be healed.
I think it needs a comma.
Yeah.
Okay, so first two sentences make sense.
Yeah. What
Giving
he's
help
saying
you ask.
really is by what we're seeing our brother is really within ourselves. So he's encouraging us to kind of take responsibility back into ourselves, whatever's going on. And thereby we recognize the need in ourselves for oneness, well, for healing.
See but one need in yourself, you will be healed. So as you give, you receive. Another version of that lesson. If you perceive but one need in yourself, you will be healed. So your only need is for healing. And as you give it to your brother, so you receive it.
But you will recognize perfect love's answer as you want it to be. And if you want it in truth, it will be truly yours. So when we really want the real answer, it will be given us. Every appeal you answer in the name of pure formless awareness brings
Christ is the self, the true self, in the name of
every appeal you answer
in the one self.
self brings the remembrance of your source closer to your awareness. For the sake of your need, then, hear every call for help as what it is, so perfect love can answer you. We're saying really that when we recognize that everything that we are witnessing is a reflection of our own need for love, then we can, and our own forgiveness, then we can unite with the one self.
Yeah. If you really recognize that, this person is yourself, it brings a remembrance of your source, which is this perfect love, pure formless awareness of perfect love. So this is the one self, that true identity. You recognize that in yourself and in others. It brings you closer to that state of mind, the pure formless awareness of perfect love. So Christ leads to God. Translated means believing in the one self leads you into a state of pure formless awareness of perfect love. Okay, any other comments on that? Questions?
No.
That's good.
Okay. Happy to move on to number 8. Wow, so you got a monster there.
I have, yes.
So we split it into 2 if you want. We can you do it until say number 5, end of number 5. And then we'll call that a paradox.
By applying the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the reactions of others more and more consistently, you will gain an increasing awareness that his criteria are equally applicable to you. For to recognize fear is not enough to escape from it, although the recognition is necessary to demonstrate the need for escape. The Holy Spirit must still translate the fear into truth. If you were left with the fear, once you had recognized it, you would have taken a step away from reality, not towards it. Yet we have repeatedly emphasized the need to recognize fear and face it without disguise as a crucial step in the undoing of the ego.
Okay. So, got a translation of that.
Yeah. By applying the remembrance of oneness.
Perfect love. I think use love.
By applying the remembrance of love's interpretation of the reactions of others more and more consistently, you will gain an increasing awareness that its criteria are equally applicable to you. As we see other people's reactions as being a call for love, we will see more of how that's happening in us. We'll recognize it. Or to recognize fear, for to recognize fear is not enough to escape from it, although the recognition is necessary to demonstrate the need for escape. So we have to feel the fear in order to know that we need to let it go.
Yeah. So recognize literally means rethink. So we're looking at it, but we're looking at it from a state of awareness. That a recognition is necessary to demonstrate the need for escape. So this is the idea of acknowledging the error so that you can release it, so you can let it go. You don't get stuck in the error, but you go, if I don't recognize that I have fear, then I don't recognize the need for escape from fear. And I think it's okay. I don't need to do anything. So this is the paradox of it. Ultimately, it's not real, but in order to undo it, we must recognize it temporarily to demonstrate the need for escape from it or for healing. So then the healing is, okay, well, I can let this fear go. I can choose to release it and free my mind, but I can't release it until I've recognized it. But it's, that there's something there that needs to be released. Otherwise, you metaphysically ghost over it and you go, no, I don't have a problem. Even though I've got fear, I'm not willing to look at the fear. So the fear remains buried in my subconscious, and then that continues to influence my thoughts, emotions, actions, and behavior in all these quite subtle but profound ways, until I recognize that actually, yes, I do have a problem. Going back to David Hoffmeister's, yesterday's lesson, I have one problem. My problem is a fundamental problem in belief. I believe in separation, therefore I perceive everything incorrectly. And unless I'm willing to recognize that that's my problem, I can't open myself to the answer to the problem, to the solution. So same idea with fear. Okay.
Yep. The remembrance of love must still translate the fear into truth. If you were left with the fear, once you had recognized it, you would have taken a step away from reality, not towards it. So if we don't let the fear go once we've recognized it, then we stay in the hell.
Yeah. Yeah. So you must bring it to the Holy Spirit, bring it to that awareness of oneness in order to be undone. So you bring the fear up, you look at it from the light of your true awareness, and you go, this is ridiculous. The fear is not real. Only oneness is real. Only this perfect love, this pure formless awareness that I'm remembering, that I'm starting to access more and more in my mind. Only that is real, and so the fear cannot be real, and that just dissipates the fear. You recognize that it's just a projection of the mind. It's the mind's belief in separation projected outwards, seeming to be real, but the underlying belief system is false. The whole belief system cannot be believed in because it's all based on the idea of separation. That's not true. So fear cannot be true either. So if you're left with the fear, once you recognize it, you would have taken a step away from reality. Maybe reality needs to have a capital there, I think.
Yeah.
Agree with that?
Yeah.
Because it's talking about ultimate reality, not towards it. That you have repeatedly emphasized.
Yet we have repeatedly emphasized the need to recognize fear and face it without disguise as a crucial step in the undoing of the ego, of the belief in separation.
Yeah.
I like
Face
that.
it without
Face it
disguise.
without disguise.
Yeah. So really look at it and say, okay, so let's look honestly, very honestly at this belief. And so that means you've got to have the courage to face the fear, because it's going to come up when you look at it and you experience it. You don't repress it, suppress it, deny it, distract yourself. You face it, and then in the experiencing the fear, and then that fear can be sometimes very intense, an intense emotion. But you face it, and then you bring the light of your true awareness of oneness into it, and you go, but this is just what is the fear? It's a thought and an emotion going on in my mind, creates a movement in my mind. It's an energy state that might affect my body. The body influences the mind, as we know, but all it is thought. It's false thought, and I've got to recognize that it's all based on an idea that I can be separate from love. Fear is not possible if you are in perfect love. And there's only that pure formless awareness of perfect love. It's only possible if you believe that you've separated from that love. And so you just recognize that. And then, the fear, whatever form it takes, you might be fearing something on the level of form, a person, a place, a sickness, an illness, financial distress, whatever it is. You recognize that the form doesn't confuse you anymore. You recognize the underlying content is the same. It's because of the belief in separation that I'm fearing. So I need to let go of that belief. Crucial step in the undoing. The belief isn't true, so the fear cannot be true. And this is the one correction that the Holy Spirit employs. This is how it does it. It looks at it honestly and says, this simply is not true. So how can you continue in a fearful state when what you fear is not true, and you realize that? It's impossible. If you really recognize that it's not true, then fear becomes impossible, doesn't it? It just drops away. It's like, well, that's just a bit of a joke, really. Why did I fear it if it's not true? So this is the undoing of the ego, as he says. Okay, so do you want to give a little summary of the first half of that?
Yeah. So we need to see the fear and feel the fear in order to bring it to the Holy Spirit to let it go. See that it's not real.
We must recognize and then bring it to the remembrance of perfect love. Well, maybe we should translate that as oneness. It might be more applicable. I mean, it all works, but I still translate the fear into truth. So you bring fear into remembrance of oneness, and you recognize, well, in perfect oneness, there's no fear. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing besides oneness. So that there's a natural letting go of the fear there, because oneness just dissolves it. Face it without disguise. So this requires some courage. If you look at our journey here, where are we? If you look at this, the level of courage is the breakthrough level, isn't it? Courage, you go, I don't know why it's got a down arrow. Let's actually change this, because it should actually be an up arrow. Courage is the upward movement, saying, yes, I have the courage to take on the fear. Really, courage means you're willing to face your fear and overcome it. So that's the start of the transformation process, really. Oh, yes, I can face my fear. I can overcome it. It's about affirmation and empowerment. And you're saying this is feasible. It actually is feasible that I could heal my mind. I could get out of this. I'm not stuck in these, lower energies anymore. So courage is then the foundation for the growth into all of these higher stages. Without courage, you're not going to ever start your spiritual path. Okay. So happy with the first part of number 8. Second part of number 8, Iona from number 6.
Consider how well the Holy Spirit's in remembrance of oneness interpretation of the motives of others will serve you then.
Okay.
And that's the interpretation of as seeing everything as a cry for love.
Well,
Having taught you to accept only loving thoughts in others and to regard everything else as an appeal for help. Remembrance of perfect love has taught you that fear itself is an appeal for help. This is what recognizing fear really means. If you do not protect it, is that what it says? The cursor's just over it. If you do not protect it, he will reinterpret.
yeah.
If you do not protect it, it will reinterpret.
Yeah.
Right. So if I don't protect the fear, remembrance of perfect love will take this as an opportunity to correct my thinking and reinterpret it as an opportunity for recognizing love. That is the ultimate value in learning to perceive attack as a call for love. We have that fear and attack are inevitably associated. If only attack produces fear, and if you see attack as a call for help that it is, the unreality of fear must dawn on you, for fear is a call for love in unconscious recognition of what has been denied. Yeah. So he's saying that it's just keep in mind the perfect interpretation that I've been shown of others' motive and how it will serve me, recognizing only loving thoughts in others and in myself. It's only an appeal for help, which really is my appeal for help too. Yeah. And a perfect opportunity to recognize fear
Hmm.
for what it actually is. Don't attempt to protect it at all. Let
Hmm.
perfectly interpret.
Hmm.
Yeah. The unreality of fear must
So the attack is the call for help that
yeah.
Hmm.
Fear and attack are associated, and the unreality of fear must dawn on me, for fear is a call for love. In unconscious recognition of what has been denied, everything that's been stuffed down for so long.
Hmm. Hmm. So if someone is in fear, then they're usually going to attack, and that is their call for love. Just inappropriate. So that's all they understand. Okay, well, the answer to this fear is to attack. That'll make me safe. When in fact it's really not going to make them safe at all. But you, as a miracle worker, have to perceive it as what it really is. Otherwise, you get sucked into the nightmare yourself. So you want to summarize that?
Recognize, keep in mind always that no matter what presents, it's from others, it's a call for love. Yeah.
Call for help that it is.
Mm.
Unreality of fear must dawn on you. Call for love and unconscious recognition of what has been denied. Okay, so happy with that? Moving on to number 9.
Fear is a symptom of your own deep sense of loss. If when you perceive it in others, you learn to supply the loss, the basic cause of fear is removed. Thereby you teach yourself that fear does not exist in you. The means for removing it is in yourself, and you have demonstrated this by giving it. Fear and love are the only emotions of which you are capable. One is false, for it was made out of denial, and denial depends on the belief in what is denied for its own existence. Read that one again. One is false, for it was made out of denial, and denial depends on the belief in what is denied for its own existence. By interpreting fear correctly as a positive affirmation of the underlying belief it masks, you are undermining its perceived usefulness by rendering it useless. Defenses that do not work at all are automatically discarded. If you raise what fear conceals to clear-cut, unequivocal predominance, fear becomes meaningless. You have denied its power to conceal love, which was its only purpose. The veil that you have drawn across the face of love has disappeared. So fairly flowery up there.
Yeah.
Fear is a symptom of your own deep sense of loss. So fear is a symptom of our own sense of loss of connection with oneness. If when you perceive it in others, if you learn how to supply the loss to them, the cause of the fear is removed, both in them and oneself. Thereby you teach yourself that fear does not exist in you. The means for removing it is in yourself, and you have demonstrated this by giving it. So by giving it to others, we give it to ourselves. Fear and love are the only emotions of which you are capable. So it's kind of reducing everything to the basics here. One is false, for it was made out of denial, and denial depends on the belief in what is denied for its own existence. So one is false, and it only survives in the belief that it hasn't denied something, but it has.
Well, it's based on so it's a negative reality because it negates or denies the truth. So the only way the ego can have any kind of existence at all is because it denies or negates God, love, oneness, pure formless awareness. So it relies on this for its existence, is what he's saying. Without this, the opposite of truth is meaningless. If there was no truth, do you see that? The ego has to have something to now go, okay, well, I'm denying that, and so now I'm this, but I'm this because I deny this. See, so its whole existence is negative. It's a negative existence. It negates the truth. And that's the basis of its so-called existence or reality, which is not a real existence then. It's only based on the denial of truth. And so it's a very shaky belief system because of that. And it knows it. It knows that there's actually no reality to its own belief, to it. And that's why the ego is always, ranging from suspicion to viciousness, Jesus says, because it's not certain of its own existence. And all of its attempts to try and confirm its existence in your mind, this whole mad red scrum, the descent into hell, will never confirm that it exists. It's always going to be a false belief because it's just the opposite of what's true. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's entirely made of denial, hence it's negative, negative thought and emotion. It negates the truth. So denial depends on the belief in what is denied for its own existence. So there must have been an underlying belief in truth, in oneness, which we then denied in order to miscreate this ego. So it actually relies on that belief in oneness for its own existence.
By interpreting fear correctly as a positive affirmation of the underlying belief it masks, you are undermining its perceived usefulness by rendering it useless. First part of that sentence I'm not getting. By interpreting correctly as a positive affirmation of the underlying belief it masks.
Yeah. It's the direct corollary of what I just explained.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's fear is correctly interpreted testifies to the belief that fear denies.
Yeah.
It testifies to this. Because it's the opposite of this. It's the denial of God, love, oneness, pure formless awareness. Correctly interpreted, it actually affirms that this must exist.
Yeah.
Because it's denying it. It can only deny what exists.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so hence correctly interpreted from the Holy Spirit's perspective, it's a positive affirmation of the underlying belief in oneness, the remembrance of oneness that it masks. So it's the veil, the mask covered over the truth, but the truth is still there, right? Who would the actor be? You have a mask, but the mask doesn't exist on its own. The mask must cover something. It must cover the actor's face for there to be a mask. If the mask was simply lying on the floor, not being carried around on a person, it would have no power, would it? So the mask actually confirms the underlying belief that it masks, that belief is actually true. And that's where the real power resides. And the mask is just the covering over it.
Very well put.
Well,
Okay. Defenses that do not work at all are automatically discarded. So we let them drop. If you raise what fear conceals to clear-cut, unequivocal predominance, fear becomes meaningless. So if we raise what fear conceals to clear unequivocal predominance, fear becomes meaningless. So if we actually really look at what fear is, what is behind fear, it becomes meaningless. You have denied its power. You have denied its power to conceal love, which was its only purpose. So we've taken away the mask and revealed love. The veil you have drawn across the face of love had disappeared. The mask has dropped.
Okay. Any thoughts on that? You want to give a little summary of that?
I think it's re-emphasizing there is only fear and love, and if we can look at fear and take away the mask and see behind it that there is nothing to fear and only love. And to do that, we need to look upon it with love.
Yeah, it's a positive affirmation. The great reinterpretation here is, okay, so fear and its, its corollaries like attack and guilt are really an affirmation of the belief that they deny. So the more someone is fearing, the more hatred and attack, the more it confirms that love is true, if you perceive it correctly. Because they're desperately trying to cover over that love. But it actually confirms that love is still the underlying truth. And the more desperate they are to cover it over, the more it confirms that that's true. And so, this is the reinterpretation the Holy Spirit's asking us to do. So let's say you were Viktor Frankl in a concentration camp. And I'm sure he did this. He just interpreted that all the cruelty and unkindness was a covering over the truth. And he was determined to survive the experience so he could reveal the truth. And that experience of 4 years in hell, I don't think you get a much more of a hellish place on earth, was what confirmed to him that there really is a deeper meaning. Because he went within and he said, well, all of this is just a veil. It's a cover that denies the truth. And I'm going to go deeper into myself and find the truth. And so that's what hardship can do. If you interpret it correctly, all of it is designed to help you to find the deeper love that it conceals. And then, the more hardship there is, if you've got this mindset that you just reinterpret it, then the more it confirms the love that it conceals. And so you become invincible. It's like it doesn't matter what the ego does. Crucify me, in Jesus's case, doesn't matter, because I just reinterpret it and I see it's just a covering over love, and I choose love instead. And so that's what we need to learn in the face of the fear and the hatred and the attacks of the ego, to go, okay, this just reaffirms my determination to love and love only, because it's a positive affirmation of that which it denies. And I take it as that, and then it actually strengthens my belief in it. Every experience that you have that seems to deny love actually strengthens your belief in love, which is then the forgiveness. That's forgiveness or letting go. That's what it does. So it becomes the way out of the dream. And the ego's got no answer to that. It's just going to throw you heaps of crap. Basically, it's going to throw you everything it possibly can throw you. All the guilt and the fear and the manifestations of it, to try and get you to believe in it. because that's all it can do. And then the Holy Spirit says, okay, we'll bring it on, whatever, because I'll just reinterpret it. And I'll interpret, the more you try and cover over love with fear and attack and hatred, the more I interpret that, that love is there. It just reaffirms my belief that it's there more and more strongly. So you become invincible then. It doesn't matter what the ego's doing, you actually get strengthened in your faith and your belief. And the ego's got no answer to this kind of mindset, the Holy Spirit's reinterpretation. The ego has no answer, which is of course why the ego will be undone eventually, because it has no answer to the Holy Spirit's reinterpretation of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
I think we've given a. Let's just. Do we actually need a translation there? I'm not sure we do. Just because we didn't change anything, did we?
No.
We just defenses, which is a just a spelling issue, not really a issue of meaning. So I'll change it there because we don't really need an alternative paragraph. Okay. So moving on to the last paragraph. I think you do the honors, Sue.
If you would look upon love, which is the world's reality, how could you do better than to recognize in every defense against it the underlying appeal for it? And how could you better learn of its reality than by answering the appeal for it by giving it? The Holy Spirit's interpretation of fear does dispel it, for the awareness of truth cannot be denied. Thus does the Holy Spirit replace fear with love and translate error into truth. And thus will you learn of him how to replace your dream of separation with the fact of unity. The separation is only the denial of union, and correctly interpreted attests to your eternal knowledge that union is true.
Okay. So any let's see, do we need to translate that at all? Holy Spirit, yeah, we've got a couple there, so let's go through it. Translate.
If you would look upon love, which is the world's reality, how could you do better than to recognize in every defense against it the underlying appeal for it? So every time we see somebody who is putting up barriers to love, or even in ourselves putting up barriers to love, it's actually, we can see that it's a call for love.
Well, exactly.
And how could you better learn of its reality than by answering the appeal for it by giving it? So you strengthen the reality of love by
give it.
The remembrance of perfect love's interpretation of fear does dispel it. The awareness of truth cannot be denied. So the Holy Spirit's interpretation of fear is that it's a call for love.
Yeah.
And for the awareness of truth cannot be denied. Thus does the remembrance of perfect love replace fear with love and translate error into truth. And thus you learn of it how to replace your dream of separation with the fact of unity. The separation is only the denial of union, and correctly interpreted attests to your eternal knowledge that union is true.
Yeah. You want to summarize that?
So by recognizing the call of love, call for love, by giving love, we learn that, well, we see unity. We all come together in love.
Yeah. So if you if you just interpret any denial of love as the positive affirmation of love that it really is, that reinterpretation makes you invincible. It strengthens your belief in love. And that's all we have to do. Just turn it. Okay. So the more someone's attacking, the more they're trying to deny love, the more they're actually affirming the belief that love is true, and they're just desperately trying to cover it over. And this is the reinterpretation. It will strengthen your belief in love, no matter what the situation is. If love is being displayed to you, then yeah, great. You can accept the love. It's lovely. If it's fear and hatred, then you reinterpret it and you use it to strengthen your belief in love. And that's how you replace your dream of separation with the fact of unity. Correctly interpreted, the separation is a test to your eternal knowledge that union is true. So that's all the separation is. Reinterpreted, all of this is just an affirmation that eternal love, perfect love, is true, and the ego is not. It's a very simple shift, isn't it? It's just going to, okay, we'll just change your perception in every situation. But the mind training is required because the ego likes to pull us into to this belief and justify it with, oh well, look, this is what happened, and all the negative thoughts and emotions that come with it, rather than just, okay, it's one simple reinterpretation I have to make it. The more that love is being denied through fear and attack, the more it's actually being confirmed, because the more the ego tries to deny it and strengthen itself, the more it's actually confirming that this must be true underneath it. So the heavier the veil, the more bright the light that underlies it, you see. That's how it works. The ego's got to cover over. Okay, well, cover because I'm terrified of the light. But actually, it's just confirming that this light is so brilliant and bright that it can't be covered over. Yeah. So a lovely reinterpretation, really. Just really brilliant. And we're doing this all the time in the workbook. But can you see that you get stuff in the text that you don't get in the workbook? It's like a deeper understanding. Just reinterpretation and going to the how the mind operates, and reinterpreting the dream as just the positive affirmation of the belief that's been denied. And you go, oh, okay, well, that actually just confirms that oneness is still true, more so in my mind. Which is why everything he says can strengthen your faith, strengthen your belief, no matter what it is, whether it's a love or a call for love. Okay, so happy with number 10. So now we come to the personalized executive summary. So we try and get this down to one paragraph. Anyone like to have a go? Can you summarize it in one paragraph as a as a personalized take on this.
Joint effort.
Eh?
Maybe we could do a joint effort. But my
Yeah.
is the key message of this section is to reinterpret denial of love for its powerful affirmation.
Okay. So I might use some of this. So I need to reinterpret any fear attack as an affirmation of perfect love that it denies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so strengthen my own belief in perfect love. Okay, anything else you want to say there?
I think that kind of gets it, really.
Yeah.
Well, it does really, because the whole point of the personalized executive summary is to make it, very, very practical. Like, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to reinterpret any fear as an attack, as an affirmation. Perfect love that denies, and so strengthen my own belief in perfect love. Maybe we want to say something about our brothers.
Yeah, it's about Fumi. Yeah.
Or the call for help. So
Yeah.
Something about the call for help, maybe.
Yeah.
So I can do this by reinterpreting every attack by
a companion.
A companion as
Call for love.
a call for love. Call for help, I think he used. Call for help and giving that help in the form of loving words and actions. So then it becomes very practical. Okay, so how do I actually give love to this? How do I give love to this person? Rather than interpret it as an attack. Loving words and actions. And so restore my awareness and theirs to maybe we'll just say to the awareness of perfect love. Okay, so you want to read that in summary, Iona, see if it makes sense.
The key message of this section is that I need to reinterpret any fear or attack as an affirmation of the perfect love that it denies, and so strengthen my own belief in perfect love. I can do this by reinterpreting every attack by a companion as a call for help and giving that help in the form of loving words and actions, and so restore my awareness and theirs to the awareness of perfect love. Yeah, that's great.
Well,
Oh,
attacked by reinterpreting any attack, every attack, doesn't really matter.
yeah, that would.
Every attack by anyone. Every attack by anyone as a call for help. So wherever you see it, then it's a call for love. So you see it on. It's not necessarily a personal attack. It's the war in Ukraine, for instance.
Right.
There's an attack there. So then it's a call for love, and so that becomes another way that you watch the news and you see these things in the world. That becomes another healing opportunity. You say, well, this is really just strengthening my own belief in the love that this denies. And the reason the ego has gone into war mode again is because it has to do this in order to deny the love that it fears. And so war is an affirmation of the perfect love that's been denied. And so it cannot shake my faith. In fact, it strengthens it. And then you become bulletproof. You're invulnerable. It's like, well, whatever the ego throws at you, you just reinterpret it. It's got no answer to that reinterpretation. That reinterpretation is, in fact, exactly how you undo it. So that's why this is a Course in Miracles. It's saying that reinterpretation, shift in your perception moment by moment, is the undoing of the ego. It's brilliant, really. It's just so clever. I just go like, wow, imagine if Jesus figured this out. Yeshua figured it out. Imagine figuring this out. It's like, wow, that's just amazing to have the insight to figure out, okay, this is how the ego works, and now this is how I undo it. And I've figured that all out, and I've put it into a mind training course that, if you follow the instructions in the course, are going to get you out of the ego's thought system. Just if you follow the process. It's amazing. Okay, so I think that brings us to the end of the session. So we have a little close it out with the Beatles.
Yeah.
It'd be nice. I'm going to record it anyway. I think all they do is they give you a copyright warning. That's what happened last time. So. And they won't pull the whole thing because of a song. They just tell you it's a warning. You don't have to do anything. So it's okay, well, whatever. It's free on YouTube anyway. So
Yeah.
all right. So leave in all you need on YouTube, and cover the lyrics. Okay, so that's probably going to be the. Should we listen to the original?
Yeah.
The most memorable. That's the original. Okay, so was this the performance they had?
I think it's looking like it. Yeah.
Oh, well, let's see.
Spike needs to launch his bold new delivery business online without costs going sky high.
Ah. Nice one.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to stick.
A good night to end it on, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Love is all you need. Go to sleep on that. So, love you all, and hope to see you tomorrow afternoon.
Lovely.
Yeah. Are you going to join tomorrow?
Oh yeah, should be.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same time, 1:30. We'll just do the whole session in the afternoon tomorrow, so it'll be a long afternoon session. Okay.
Righty.
Thank you, everyone.
Night, night.
Love you all. Night.
Good night.
Sleep
Nice,
well.
everybody.
Okay.